Good morning, S2. I'd like to talk to you about a couple of ideas today. I'd like to talk to you about the idea of elements, what they are, and I would like to have a look at how we stack up the elements in something called the periodic table. Not this sort of table, very different type. Right guys, there are literally millions of chemicals out there, millions of chemicals. But if we have a look at some of them, we find something quite interesting. Let's bring some chemicals into the right hand side of the screen here. Let's bring hydrochloric acid. Whoops, hydrochloric acid's gone for a wander. Let's bring a molecule of water. Let's bring a chemical called ammonia. And let's bring a chemical called methane. So there's a few chemicals on the right hand side there. Water, hopefully you've come across that by the way. Hydrochloric acid, used in the lab a lot. Ammonia, it's in pee, and it's what makes pee smell of pee. It's disgusting, but very useful. And this is the chemical that comes out of your gas stove or your camping stove. Then on the left hand side we've got oxygen. That's a chemical I'm hoping you've come across. We've got chlorine. This chemical is so handy for killing bacteria in swimming pools and bleach. We've got hydrogen gas. We've got carbon, the black stuff on your burnt toast. And we've got sulfur. Now, I'm hoping you'll see a difference between these folks on the right hand side and these ones on the left hand side, because that's something to do with this. If we have a look at water, we find there are two different types of atom in it. There are oxygen atoms and hydrogen atoms. If we have a look at ammonia, you find nitrogen and hydrogen. This one here, chlorine and hydrogen. So there's more than one type of atom in these chemicals. If you look at this on the other hand, if you look at hydrogen gas, it's only got one type. So has oxygen, so has chlorine. That, in fact, is the definition of an element, folks. These are all elements. They only contain one type of atom. If you're interested in what these are called compounds. They contain more than one kind of atom. You can have a lot more than two, by the way. I know these only have two types, but you can have more than one kind. So these are called compounds. But we're not going to talk too much about these. We'll maybe leave these till August. Let's go back and look at the elements. So they are very special chemicals because you can't break them down into anything simpler. They've only got one type of atom. You can't make chlorine. Can't break it down into anything else. It's always just going to be chlorine. So where did that take us? Well, fast forward a few hundred years and we came up with this, which was a list of the elements. It's not very easy to read though, and it didn't tell us very much. So what we did was we took all the elements that behaved in a particular way. They had a particular type of chemical reaction. For example, fluorine behaves in a similar way to chlorine, which behaves in a similar way to bromine, which also behaves in a similar way to iodine. And what we did was we took these chemicals that behaved in a similar way and we sat them on top of each other. We stacked them on top of each other in a vertical column. And we did the same for all the elements here, and you end up with this. This is our periodic table. So what it is just a list of all the elements in the known universe arranged in a particular way so that everything that's in the same vertical column as each other behaves in a very similar chemical way. Thanks for listening.